Welcome friends. So, after the discussion for implementation of IDEA in our institute, I have discussed till now uploading of a document in the IDEA. Now, I will like to focus for implementing a metadata schema in this space. So, a metadata is more information about the document. So, regarding the metadata, there are various metadata like Dublin core, learning resource metadata are available. So, DSpace by default follows Dublin core metadata. So, when we install DSpace, we will find all the whatever metadata we have entered during the upload of a document or uploading of a PDF file or uploading of a PPT file, as shown in my previous session, that we are entering the title, we are entering the author name, we are entering the publisher details, we are entering the date of publication. So, all these information gets stored in Dublin core metadata schema. Now, what if we want to implement a learning resource metadata? Now, why this is important to us? Because this is a academic repository. So, suppose somebody gives a search of thermodynamics in Google. So, Google gives us a list of search result, but in nowhere Google mentions whether this information will be important for a class 12 student, whether the information is important for a graduate, for a postgraduate or for a research scholar. In the link we need to see the information, we need to go into the information and we have to read it, and we can understand whether it is required by for me or not, and if it is not, then we will reject the link and we will go to some other site. But for a academic information, we should provide information related to learning. Learning information is very vital for academic documents. So, when we are uploading information in DSpace, we should upload the academic information like this tutorial or this document or this digitized document will be important for whom? It is important for a school student, it is important for a graduate, for a undergraduate, for a postgraduate or for a research scholar. What kind of information this is, or what kind of document in this information is this document is holding, what information this document is holding. So, we need to define the metadata schema in the DSpace. Now, one more aspect I would like to focus. Suppose for example, somebody wants to upload a map, and this map is having a longitude and a latitude, and specific map locations are having that type of informations, geographical informations, and then this information by default is not available in the Dublin core. So, we need to implement a metadata schema regarding that. So, I would like to show how to implement such type of schema in DSpace, what is the technical steps we need to follow for implementing that. So, my objective for today's session is DSpace metadata implementation, learning resource metadata schema that as I was discussing. I will like to focus for DSpace controlled vocabulary implementation, and at the end of the session I will like to focus for simple archive format package and metadata harvesting others. Now, DSpace metadata implementation. So, for implementing a metadata schema in DSpace, we need to create the LRMI metadata schema. First, the step is very easy and I have written in a very easy format, so that everybody can understand. So, first we need to create the LRMI metadata schema. This is a GUI based step, I will show it to you. Enter the LRMI metadata elements over there, edit the input forms.xml file. So, we need to edit this file and then restart Tomcat. So, how to do that? In DSpace we will get metadata schema, and there is a metadata schema field we can enter. First we have to enter the metadata schema namespace, that is LRMI, and after entering the namespace I can enter the metadata elements. So, it gives me LRMI dot one element dot qualifier. So, now the scope I can mention what for what purpose the metadata element is used. So, I will discuss few more metadata resource learning resource metadata like LRMI educational use, LRMI time required, LRMI type typical age range, interactive type, then learning resource type, and then use rights URL and so on. It has got many more. I have discussed few of these. Some of these are very are only one element is only having, we do not have the qualifier, but in many other qualifier is also available. Now, for example, for in case of Dublin core, it is like DC dot contributor dot author. So, element is contributor and author is the qualifier. Similarly, I can enter DC dot contributor dot guide. So, I can enter new qualifiers over there. Similarly, these elements are available for learning resource metadata. Few more are available like LRMI is based URL on, or education role, or educational alignment dot educational level. So, grade level to which the resource is aligned to. So, educational alignment dot educational level, and then we can write pedagogic objective and difficulty level. These things we can implement in DSpace, different I have mentioned. So, let us go for the demonstration part of it. So, this is my DSpace home page. So, I will first log in as administrator. So, after login, as I have shown you that as I am the administrator, or this login account is the administrator. So, you will get administrative panel in this place. So, here somewhere you will get metadata, I am going to highlight it. So, we are getting metadata. So, you just click in this metadata. As soon as we click, we get DC, e-person, DC terms, local. These are by default available in DSpace. If you click in DC, you get all the different fields which DC is having, as I was discussing dc.contributor.advisor, dc.contributor.author, dc.contributor.editor. So, like that I am having many fields here, but not all these are used in the input forms. So, what is the input form? Again I would like to show you for once again, like if I try to submit an item in this collection. So, I click a submit a new item to this collection, I click here. As soon as I click here, I get a list of fields. If I need a changes in this field, then these are the metadata elements which DSpace is having by default. Now, if I want to change this information, then I need to change the coded file, that is input -forms.xml. So, this is the file which is carrying the information for this input forms. So, we need to change that in case we want to make a change in this place. So, what I want is, first I would like to show you that here author is available, but when I am trying to upload a PhD information, there is no guide or supervisor information available here. So, what I need? I need first to create a registry entry. So, what we will do? first we will go to the administrative panel, and under an administrative you will get registries as I was showing, and under registry you will get metadata. So, you click on metadata and you click in DC. You see number of fields are already available. So, I will put one field name, that is DC dot contributor So, it is like this DC dot contributor dot guide. I am just writing guide name and add new metadata field. So, as soon as you enter this, you see in the contributor only you get it. So, DC dot contributor dot guide, it is coming out here. Now, this is the GUI part we have done, but adding this does not reflect, then the field will not get reflected into the input forms. So, adding in this place does not ensures, because it is just the registry entry we have done. So, data will get stored in this DC element, but the input form does not get changed because we need to change in the code. So, I will show that. So, this is the first step, that is the adding of the element. So, we will just log out from this space. Now, here I would like to say that I am working in the server. So, for getting connected to the server, I am using WinSCP, and this is my server part and this is my desktop part. So, what I want, there is a config folder. So, these are the folders which are available in DSpace installation folder, that is asset store where the information gets stored, bin where the command files are available, config where the configuration files are available, etc. some more files and configuration files and class files are available, exports are the exports available, handle server, if we configure a handle server then that information is available here, lib is the library folder, log is the all the logs of DSpace are available here. When we generate any statistical report or other report, those are available in this report folder. Solar is the indexing part of the Solar. Triple store is again, it is like a asset store, another storage part of the DSpace. Upload, when we upload something, that information gets present here, and web app where is the similar to Linux where variable files are available here, and web app is the application web app, that is the XML UI or the JSP UI, all those web applications are available in this web app. If I double click on it, you can see this XML UI and JSP UI, that folders are available. Now, I want to change in the configuration. So, I will go to the config folder, and inside config folder I will get the input hyphen forms dot XML, input hyphen forms dot XML. So, what I suggest, I will take that file into my desktop, and I am having that input forms dot XML. You can right click and open in any notepad or WordPad or anywhere. I am opening it in notepad. So, in notepad it shows in a without unformatted way. If you are trying to open it into a WordPad, then you will say something, you will see something like this. So, it is in a much more better way and in a much more better format you are having. So, you can see that there is DC schema, contributor, author, whether this author name is multiple author, it is true, that is why it is repeatable. What is the label I am having? I will just increase the font. What is the label I am having? That is authors, and then input type is the name, and like this. So, that means after author I want to enter the guide name. So, as I have already created the registry part of it. So, I will just select this part of code and just create a entry here. So, as it is the author copy paste I have done, I just make it guide. So, guide, there may be multiple guides. So, repeatable true, in the label you just type it as guide. Enter the name of the guides of this item and just save this. I will save it and just close it. So, if you have done anything wrong or not, you can just right click and open it into a browser to check whether it is saved properly or not. So, just open it in Firefox. Firefox displays the information. So, XML file best way to check whether the XML file has got any error while writing the code, whether you have made any error in XML file, the best way to check it in browser. So, just open the XML file in browser and just check it in. So, open it and just check whether you, if it gets open, that means the XML file is properly written, and if it do not gets open, then you understand that you have made some mistake and you need to check it again. So, now what I will do, I will just, so this is my original file. So, one thing I can do here, I will just mention it as main. So, I have just mentioned it as a main file, so that if something happens, I can get the previous code. So, now this input forms.xml, this file is available here. The next part of it is I need to shut down and restart the Tomcat. So, for that I need to access my server terminal. Now, here I would like to mention that I am working in a Linux environment, and in Linux environment you can connect to the Linux server using any putty or any such type of third party software from any Windows machine. So, the best way to install the server in a Linux machine, and then you connect to the Linux machine or Linux server or your live server using your desktop, using your Windows machine, using the putty kind of software. So, I have already made the connection here and I am present in the IDR folder where the DSpace got installed. So, there I am having the shutdown.sh, one command I am having to restart the DSpace server, DSpace Apache Tomcat. So, what I will do, I will first shut down the Apache Tomcat. So, I have shut down the system. So, for your just I will show, I will refresh it, see there is no connection to the server, DSpace is gone. So, now what I will do, I will just start up the server. It shows me Tomcat started. So, I will try to reload. It will take some time for connecting. So, here by the time it comes, let me discuss the schema a little bit. So, now what I did is I have just created the, I have not created the LRMI metadata schema, but rather I have just created a element in the space. I have entered the element information, I have edited the input forms.xml and I am restarting the Apache Tomcat. So, as soon as I am restarting this Tomcat, it connects me to the DSpace server. Now, I will log in. Now, I will try to see whether my added, see the added element is available here. So, I have added guide here. So, this becomes very good for me. So, when I go to PhD thesis, I go to this sub community, and if I create a collection, suppose I give year, what are the theses that got submitted this year, this session. Quickly I submit, I go inside. As soon as I click here, you see I am able to get this author field as well as I am able to get this guide field. That means, I can enter a element of my own requirement. With reference to my requirements, I can put an element here and that element will be shown here. So, the user who is going to enter data here, so they will be able to enter the guide information, and this kind of things are very much important or useful while searching and retrieval. So, one more example I would like to take here is metadata, and if you go to metadata registry, you will see DC, ePerson, DC term and local are available, but I want a new namespace, that is LRMI. So, I will put here as LRMI, and this is the URL of the LRMI. So, you just see and search here LRMI metadata schema specification, and you click here, you get the LRMI metadata specifications. So, this is LRMI 1.1. So, I am going to take this, if I am following this version. So, I will take this URL and copy and paste this URL in this location. Now, why this is done? Because when in future somebody else, if I am not maintaining this server, I have gone or I have got other roles and responsibilities, somebody else is maintaining this server, then he or she will be able to go to this URL and see what kind of specification is available and what specification I am following for my metadata. So, as a result, you just see for DC the Dublin core URL is available, for local URLs, for DC terms metadata URL are available. This is for references. Similarly, here also if I am using LRMI metadata schema, this is the new namespace and I have copied the namespace where the specification is available, and click on add. As soon as I click in add, I get this LRMI. Now, what I will do? I will go inside. As soon as I click here, I get the field name to enter. So, I am having LRMI dot and dot element dot qualifier. So, I will try to take a schema from my presentation. So, I will take educational alignment. I will rather take, this will be very useful. I will take educational alignment and educational level. So, I will just without typing, I am just copy pasting here. So, LRMI dot educational alignment dot education level. So, I have just written enter educational level of the item and add new metadata. Now, as soon as I have clicked in add, you see this is the metadata element data and registry entry that has been done in DSpace. This ID is automatic generated. So, last one what I generated is 133 for the guide and this is 134 for the next one. Now, after this I need to, I will show you the steps once again. I have created the schema, I have created the metadata element. Now, I need to edit the input forms.xml. So, what I will do? I will again go back to my input forms. I will open that input form in WordPad. I will scroll down. In page 1 only I will see that there is this guide I have entered, same code from field to field. Again please notice that there is field tag is available. In field tag there is DC schema, DC element, DC qualifier, repeatable, label, input type, hint and then required and then field slash field. So, this is field to field tag. Please copy the whole thing because we do not need to type then and paste it. Now, what is the thing is what is the important part of this metadata entry is DC schema will not be DC anymore, it will be LRMI and then element is, you can take it from that place, that is educational alignment. And I can take that education level qualifier. Now, it shows me repeatable, it is true. So, if you make it false, you will not get add. So, I will get, it may be you can write that this item is important or education level is class 12. It can be followed by undergraduates also like BTech students, it is a physics book or it is a physics document, or if you have uploaded a document which may be followed by a postgraduate, MS researcher or a PhD researcher, then that is also available. So, you make it true, that means multiple entry is possible, you make it false, only single entry is possible. So, I will make this as education level and this input type, it will not be name anymore. So, there is you can if you see the code and one more thing, if you follow the DSpace manual, there are many type of input fields available in DSpace manual. One of them is name, one of them is one box, that is for title there is one box it will coming, and then you can get date is also available, date type of input field. So, what type of input you want, that you need to mention it here. So, one box is the one text box which is which you can enter as one whole data entry. So, it is, I will select that one box and I will make it also a one box. Do not keep it as name, because name is specifically for name entry. So, what are the modifications we have done? We have made it as LRMI, we have made it as educational alignment element, we have made the qualifier as educational level, repeatable true, educational level I have mentioned, you can, yes, this is a label, you can capitalize and you can put a space here, educational level, and then input type is 1 bucks, enter the, I will just copy and paste it here without typing. So, enter the education level of this item and all. So, after this just save this document and close it. It is a good practice if you check it in as I have told earlier that you check it in Firefox, it is opening, that means the code is okay. So, now what I will do, I will go back to this input forms once again and I will put it here. So, it is telling me that already you want to overwrite, I will tell it yes. Now, last part of the step is present, I will shut down the Tomcat. So, shutdown I have done and I will restart the Tomcat. So, let me take again I will review this, in the meantime it will start it. So, create LRMI metadata schema, I have done it, enter the metadata elements, edit the input forms.xml file and restart the Tomcat. So, I will see here it is still revolving, that means it is trying to connect to the server which is being shut down and restarting. So, by the time it starts, so it had started. So, I will try to log in once again and I try to upload a file. See, it is showing me the education level. So, I can write here UG and I can write here PG, that means it is important for UG as well as PG. And all these are it may if you want to get a list from here or if you want to put a drop down, all different types of input forms are available in this space. We need to follow the manual, we will get these type of things and we can easily create such things. But the step for adding a new element is like, for example, as I have shown here, I have entered for DC as well as I have entered for the education level. Now, I want to go to the controlled vocabulary. Now, for DSpace it is very important, as library science persons and library science professionals are using this software, it will be very good that when we enter the data there should be some controlled vocabulary. Now, DDC is one such kind. You can enter at any other LCSH, other thesaurus type of controlled vocabulary for DSpace. So, I would like to show you a step, simple step for entering the DDC, but for implementing DDC we need the DDC controlled vocabulary file list in XML format. So, for our, as our librarian sir has discussed about the NDL project, for while implementing the NDL ideas, we have already created a list of DDC, a full list of DDC XML file following the 23rd edition, and this list I am having, as well as I will be sharing that list for this workshop also. So, what the step for that is needed is, we need that list and we need to put that list into the server, and again we need to shut down the server and restart the server, and we will make some changes in the input forms where we will tell that this subject vocabulary you use and this is the file name, and as soon as that is being done, you will see that DDC control vocabulary comes in this space while entering a new data information or while entering a new metadata information. most precisely. So, we will try to follow that steps. So, this I have already discussed for you. Very in a very precise way, I have just given the steps. It is easy to memorize, it is easy to note also that I am having a ddce.xml file, and this file I will share it for the workshop. Please keep this file, and when you implement DSpace, you will be needing this ddce.xml file, where I have mentioned ddce refers for English. You can give, if you create any other file with other language, you can mention that also, or it is your choice. Now, that file has to be placed inside the controlled vocabulary folder. So, what I was mentioning, that you need to download that file, you need to copy that, or you need to paste that file into the server folder. So, server folder is in server, as I have shown it, that there is a config folder. Inside the config folder, there is a controlled vocabularies folder. Inside the controlled vocabulary folder, you paste that ddce file, and then edit the dspace.cfg file, ddc, and you edit this cfg file and tell the configuration, dspace configuration, to use the ddce, the file what we have pasted in or copy pasted in controlled vocabulary. And finally, you input the, you edit the input forms.xml, where you want to show, in which field you want to show this ddc classification, that we need to edit it. So, two different files we need to edit, and then finally shut down and restart the server. So, we will quickly do this. So, I am already having this ddce file. So, I can open it in Firefox to show you, and see here it is already made. So, it is written as 00. So, 010 as bibliography and 011, and then it has got the relation of other ddc entries. So, that has note has been given. Similarly, library and information science and all other ddc classifications are mentioned here. So, this is a huge file we have created. So, we will first is download this. So, you copy or take that file from the URL and then paste into the or shift into the controlled vocabularies. So, I will use the WinSCP again. So, I am having the ddce.xml, and there is a controlled vocabulary folder here in my server. So, double click here and go inside this. Other default NSI XML or SRSC XML, this is social science XML, these are different control vocabularies, are default control vocabularies are already available in the folder. So, I will just shift this file here. So, after shifting, the next step what is needed is to modify the dspace.cfg file. The dspace.cfg file is the configuration file which is available in config folder. So, again we will go to the folder config. we are already available present in the config folder, and you see there is a dspace.cfg file available. I will drag it to my desktop and I will open it in see, if you open it in Notepad, it will be like this mixed up. So, it is better to open it in WordPad. It has taken it. So, you will get it in a formatted way. So, very easy way to find which place I need to modify. So, just search for SRSC. So, this is the SRSC I have got. These are all SRSC entry, and while doing this, after fourth search you will get a line choices.plugin.dc.subject equals to SRSC. Now, this is the line where we need to make the changes. So, choices.plugin.dc.subject equals to SRSC. So, we need to make the changes here, just remove this SRSC, or one if you want to keep this line, just copy it, copy the whole line and press a enter and paste it here. So, this hash sign means this line is comment entry. So, no matters, we have removed this hash line and then you write it as ddce and save this file. After saving this file, just shift this file to its location. So, again I will modify this as main configuration, I want to keep it, just copy it and paste it here. Now, the third step is we have done already, we have made the changes of this line choices.plugin.ddc.subject equals to SRSC. These changes we have already done. So, now we will edit the input forms.xml. So, we will again go to this our desktop folder and open that file in WordPad and scroll down. So, when you scroll down in page number 2, you will get the addition of keywords. So, this is the page number 2 where you can add the keywords. So, here is the place where the SRSC vocabulary tag is entered. So, what we will do? We will put ddc e. So, it is this is the tag where I would like to make the modifications. So, this is ddce and you make it and save it. After saving it, close this file. You can again make that double click and open it in Firefox to check whether you have made any mistake or not, and then transfer that file. It tells me to overwrite, I will tell yes. Now, the last step is present, that is shut down the Tomcat and after some time restart the Tomcat. You can check server is off. Now, just start the Tomcat. Now, what we will do here is that we will try to enter a item information metadata details we will enter for an item in D space, and we will try to see whether DDC is available or not, and this is the controlled vocabulary, and it will help us, because for example, for a physical library what we do is we put all the physics book in one shelf, we put all the history books in another shelf, we put all the technology books in another shelf. So, we do these type of categorizations because, or classifications, because students can search same type of books in one rack, one room or one shelf. Similarly, when we can classify, so this is the physical books what we have done, but gradually as our librarian sir has already told in the previous session, that gradually we are moving to the digital life, digital world, where all the informations are available in digitally. So, we need to classify them also. So, if we can implement quick or easy tools like DDC implementation in D space, so while when a user will be entering data in D space server, he will just simply select the D space class code or class number, which will classify the documents according to the DDC, and it will be very much easy for us or the end user to search, and that will be very much helpful to the user. So, we will again it has came. So, we will log in. So, now I will try to upload a file. So, submit this. So, I am again entering my, so this is not a PhD thesis. So, education level I will write it as, suppose for LIS students. I have entered the metadata informations. Quickly I will go to, it is a presentation, and then English, next. Oh, title. So, it is D space So, I have just entered a title randomly and I go to the next. So, there is a subject keywords. Now, I will click in this subject category. So, as I was discussing, so as soon as we click on that subject keywords, we will be getting the DDC XML file in the DDC format, and that will help us to put the subject vocabulary. So, as I was discussing that D space control vocabulary. So, in this case, as soon as I click, I will be clicking on this subject classification, it will show me this kind of DDC, and the end user who is doing the metadata entry, he or she will be able to select the DDC and will be able to classify the PDF document or the digital content. So, I was here in the D space while uploading a e-content, and as soon as I will be clicking in subject categories, as soon as I click on this subject category, see here it shows me the DDC numbers and the DDC class. So, we have implemented the 23rd edition. So, here the user will be able to, suppose for example, I am doing the metadata entry, I select this. So, I am selecting the main class. If you want, you can also click on this folder icon. As soon as you click on this folder icon, it will extend, and you can select these any one of these. Even though if you want to extend this library and information science, you can click here and then you can see select the different libraries for specific general libraries, reading purpose or personal manual, administration and library relationship. So, such categorization is already available. So, you can select any one of these and you can add that information. So, I will quickly go to the slide once again. So, similarly, you can select the DDC controlled vocabulary from here as we have implemented. So, I will again review the implementation step once more. So, first you need to select this download this DDC e.xml. We will be providing the XML file along with the video content, and this will be helpful for anybody to implement this XML file in their DSpace. And then you need to copy the DDC e.xml file in controlled vocabulary as I have already shown, and then you edit the choices.plugin.dc.subject and make remove this srse, which is by default it is present, and make it to DDCE, and then edit the input forms.xml and restart the Apache Tomcat.